I've always wondered how some programmers seem to know everything. They just look at a problem and instantly know what to do. It's just a God-given talent, I told myself. But as I developed into a more seasoned programmer, I realized that much of what I had been idolizing wasn't raw intelligence or endless knowledge. It was a mindset. One of the biggest mistakes I made was thinking that I had to know everything about a certain technology like React or Node.js before actually coding in it. But this is simply not true. I typically found that I learned far more from the mistakes I would make trying to code on my own than any tutorial or textbook. If I had waited until I thought I was completely ready, I would still be reading up on React documentation instead of actually building something. Like most of programming, you just have to take that leap of faith and dive right in. That's a big part of being a programmer. You have to be comfortable not knowing everything, and that's okay. It's not humanly possible to memorize all 595 functions in the NumPy library, or remember how to code an AVL tree from scratch. The bigger thing is being able to find an answer when you get stuck. Emphasis on the when. That's because no matter how experienced you are, you'll never write perfect code 100% of the time. Even the expert programmers I once looked up to, they make mistakes. They write messy code at times. But the difference is, when things break, they don't panic, they persist. Persistence is a skill that separates the average from the good, and something I found myself having to work on. If you've ever found yourself staring at your screen in confusion, or spent hours hunting down a bug, trust me, I've been there. We all have. But there's a difference between looking and debugging. Debugging is a skill, and just like any skill, there are effective and ineffective ways to approach it. If this video gets 20 likes, I'll make a separate video on how to get out of debugging hell. But persistence and debugging are just part of the equation. Arguably, the hardest and most important skill to develop isn't coding itself, it's learning how to think about code. As beginners, it's easy to believe that programming is all about typing lines of code, but the real challenge, the part that takes brainpower, happens before you write a single line. It's all in the planning. I'm sure we've all fallen into the trap of jumping straight into coding the moment an idea pops into our heads, only to spend hours debugging or realizing our entire approach was flawed. But the experts have it all planned out from the start, from expected inputs to edge cases. And once they finish, they go a step further and work on optimizations. So if I could go back, I'd tell my beginner self one thing. Just start. Those programmers who seem more talented, it's not talent, it's experience. Don't fear running into bugs because that's where most of the learning takes place. And in the end, you'll almost always figure it out. So that was an array of thoughts. Thanks for watching.